Alrighty then. So I wanted to go over a couple of things while it's on my mind and go ahead and make a video. So this is my 6.2. This is the engine that came out of the Denali, and I had this engine. I was trying to sell. I had a few people interested or whatever. Typical marketplace. They're coming to get it, and then they need it that day, and then still hadn't heard back from them. So anyway, I had this engine, and then I had a block, aluminum L77 block that when I took that 6.0 to have done for this truck, I took that bare block, and then they did both of them at the same time, and the block was down there, excuse me, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and like I say, I had this engine. So what I was going to do is, if I sold this one, I was going to do the other block as a stroker, and then put these heads on it, because I took these heads off of it. So these are 823s with BTR springs. So I'm going to be selling these, and somebody came yesterday rather, and bought the bare block. So that put me into using the 6.2 for the Cadillac. So this will be the power plant for the Cadillac. It's a Summit 8707 camshaft. It's like 226, 238 on a 600, and it's on a 113, I believe. So decent cam. I already had it, so why not, right? These engines are 58X, so I took the crank out Friday, took it down to Michael's, and his dad heated up the 58X, got it off. I had bought a new 24X wheel. He had the tool and put it on there. He polished the crankshaft for me. I went ahead and put new bearings in it while I had the crank out. So this engine had about 180,000 miles on it. It ran great, had good oil pressure and everything. Made someone a good engine, but I'm kind of glad it didn't sell, because I wanted to put it in my Cadillac. I really wanted to do the 408 stroker, but So anyway, I did calculate the mileage on the Cadillac, and it got over 18 miles to the gallon with the LS6 and all, so I was very surprised by that. So now we're going to fix that. But it shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. It's just a stock cube 6.2, a little bit bigger camshaft, and then these cylinder heads are ones that Michael had told me about. They're from Liberty Performance Components. They got a 67cc combustion chamber. The intake valves are undercut for more flow. The intake and exhaust, I think what does it say? 267cc intake runner, and it doesn't say anything about the exhaust. But they've run these heads on a few engines they've done and dynoed and everything, and really talked about how good they were. So I figured, why not, I would try them. So I called his dad Monday. They ordered them for me. They got them in. They like to get them bare as a kit, and then they assemble them and everything, just to make sure everything's good to go. So got all that taken care of, got it back together, and my buddy has a car intake I'm going to get to put on here to top it off, and then of course I got the front cover and oil pump and all that. So this is as far as I got with it yesterday before I knocked off. But it's got trunnion upgrades in it, and so it's ready to go. Let's see, I'll show you the box for these things. So these are the heads there. So I calculated, and it should be about 11-to-1 compression, 10-9-8 compression, almost like an LS2, I guess. So stock 823 heads are about 70 cc's, so there's a spreadsheet online that has all the different parameters you put in for the rod length, the bore size, gasket thickness, deck height, combustion chamber, piston, flat top or dish or whatever it is, and then it calculates and gives you a rough idea of what the compression will be. So I also bought a McLeod twin disc, so all that's ready. I got a LS7 throwout bearing. Haven't done a stick shift in a long time, and that's why I went away from stick shift, is because I had a 408 Windsor, and it made 530 at the tires when I was a teenager, and I couldn't keep a clutch in it, so then that's when I went automatic. Spent a lot of money on clutches and stuff, and then didn't want to spend. Back then I think there was only one manufacturer that had a twin disc or whatever. So anyway, that's why I went automatic, and then haven't looked back. But I was gonna put an automatic in this car, but after driving it, it's really a fun car. I really enjoy this car. I know it's a 20-year-old car and it's old and antiquated and whatever, but I really like the car. It drives well. I enjoy driving it. It has, just the basics, and that's what I like. I don't like a lot of options and frills and stuff, so I like that you can turn off the traction control, and it just doesn't have a whole lot there. It rides well. It's comfortable. I really like the stick shift, and for now it does get good fuel mileage. So and that's the thing. I've really been reading a lot about these cars and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I have the tendency to get a little crazy and do stuff that ends up not being drivable, and I've done that full circle. I don't know how many times. I get a car I really like, and then get crazy with it, and then it ends up not being fun anymore. You can't hop in it and drive it anywhere, and then it ends up getting sold. So let's not count how many times I've done that, but try not to do that with this one. I think, just for the basic LS3, I got a set of headers on the way. I got there's a carrier bearing thing for the drive shaft. I got one of those. It should be here. So I'm going to get new motor mounts, because apparently they're problematic. I'm going to get new transmission mount. The shifter, UC or something, makes a good shifter for these cars, so I'm going to get that shifter, and then all the bushings and bracketry and whatever to fix that and firm it up, because when I was down with Michael, we drove it to lunch, and I went from second to fifth, so we got to take out some of that slop in the shifter. So let's see, I think I'll build a full 3-inch exhaust for the next pipe, and probably going to keep the stock mufflers. I'm sure they're probably a huge restriction, but I don't want it to be loud. I may do a muffler like we did under here. I don't know if I showed it or not, but it's a Jones muffler, and it's a 2 in, 2 out, and it has like an X pipe in the middle, and it looks like it would probably fit in the tunnel of the CTS-V. So I might get one of these and put in there because the stock has a muffler there on the CTS-V, and then put some different mufflers. But from what I understand, in the back it's real short, not a lot of room for mufflers. But I don't weld these all the way. I leave a little place right there so they can leak water, so it doesn't stay in the system. I'm about finished up on this thing. You might be able to see the pan. There's the pan there. I had the guy that came and bought the engine block. That was the first thing they told me when they saw this, was to get rid of the Trailblazer pan. And I was like, yeah, we got that taken care of. So a couple of things I learned on this. I went down there, like I say, Michael was talking to him about finishing this thing up, and he was telling me about the heat exchanger. I put the trans cooler right here, and then I got to put the heat exchanger up here. Oh, it's over here. So he was telling me that what I need to do is to come from the brick in the supercharger and then come to the reservoir, fill reservoir, and then from there to the pump, and then from the pump to the heat exchanger, and then from the heat exchanger back to the brick. So, and he told me, as well as one of our viewers messaged me and informed me that apparently you want the pump to run full time on this thing. If it's running, you want that pump circulating water through the heat exchanger. Michael was telling me that because if you lose the heat exchanger, like the inlet air temps, it'll just burn the motor down. It'll just melt it down. So that's kind of scary. But so I will make that thing run all the time and make sure that it runs all the time. And then maybe we can have a safety in the Holly where if inlet air temps get crazy, it'll shut it off or something. That'd probably be a good idea. Because that's just scary because, you know, those rotors, and, you know, I mean, I don't think about all this, but the rotors, you know, touching each other, making all the heat and everything. And then apparently the snout of the blower, I'm a turbo guy, so everything behind the throttle body is boost. Well, behind the throttle body is boost or vacuum. So I thought that the snout would be able to pressurize and use a reference as my fuel pressure regulator. And again, one of our viewers messaged me and told me, you know, that's not so. So thank you for that. I learned something. So I'll have to reroute my reference for that. And yeah, so that's where we're at on that. Hopefully get this thing running tomorrow. The reservoir finally came in for the power steering from Boost District, so I'll get that on there and fill the transmission up with fluid and try to get everything finished up on this thing, because I'd like to take this thing to the dyno this week and get it dialed in, because that's when I got to get that done. So, and I know he's ready to get it back, and you know, for good reason. And because then once this is gone, then we can put this thing in the Cadillac and get back on the Jeep. So, in other news, Michael coincidentally got him a Ford. He was jealous because I got the F-150, or maybe I got the F-150 after he got the Mustang. But anyway, he got a Fox body Mustang, and he got a 347. Well, I mean, it's a small block 8.2 deck motor, unknown cubic inches, right? Grudge rates life, but apparently it was eating a lot of nitrous, and what did those have? An AOD in it, and he tried a few different converters. I don't know if I mentioned that, but they weren't going all the way in and seating all the way, so he the third one finally fit and went in, and apparently he was feeding it a lot of nitrous, and then, you know, like we always do, he went turbo. So he got a little turbo kit for it, and it's an on-3 kit, and I told him, you know, be leery of those, whatever, fitment and leakage, and he encountered all these things, so he ended up having to, they sent him another hot side, and they pressure tested it and all, and the how manyth one they sent actually was good and didn't leak. So anyway, it had a little 70 millimeter turbo on it, and he's got a red 2500 HD turbo truck like I do, and I think he had a 7875 on it with a .96. It's stock camshaft, very similar combination to the Quadra steer. He had the stock exhaust and everything under it. And so, you know, he wanted the Mustang to be faster than the truck, so he switched the turbos and put the little 70 millimeter that came in the on-3 kit on the red truck. And he said that, I think it was like 2,000 RPM. It was already 15 pounds of boost. I mean, it was already, he really liked it. He said it completely changed the truck. And that's basically, you know, where I am once I got my F-150. EcoBoost is the torque and the throttle response is just so instantaneous, and I love it. And then when I drive the red truck, I'm like, man, don't get me wrong, it runs good, but you got to get it up, really up to about 2,500 or $3,000, and then it'll ride out. But, I want bottom end as soon as I touch it, it's going in the truck. So I looked on VS's site, and they have I think it's a 366 or something. It looked pretty comparable to what the 70 that he used, because I have the T4 S480 on mine, and it's got a 110 exhaust housing, and I don't remember the wheel. I'd have to look it up, but anyway, all the combos I've tried in it, it has always been an improvement, but it's still not where I would like it. I really want to try a shorter duration camshaft and try the S366, but I might just try the S366 and just, because that'd be easier than swapping the cam and the turbo, and then I could see what the turbo changes and where it puts it coming online and everything. So I thought that was interesting. It was, a good conversation. And, then we'll need to retune it. But like I say, that's what I'm after with that thing. It's just instantaneous. Because, when you're towing and using it as a truck, I at least want it to start moving as soon as I touch the pedal, which is exactly how that EcoBoost is. So I thought it was very interesting. So anyway, that's the 6.2 that's going in the caddy. That's the combination I've decided on. The 6.2, keeping the T56, twin disc clutch. The rear end, Michael again had a good point. I was already talking about doing the 8.8 swap in it, because I have one, and that's kind of how I am, is kind of like to be preventative. But he was like, why are you gonna do that? Why don't you just get this together and everything, and then when you break the rear end, then switch it out. And I kind of see I get it. I kind of see his point, because why? Because that thing's expensive. The axles are $2,000. The bracket to hold the carrier in the car is $1,000. And then the drive shaft piece to make the stock one hook up to the flange on the 8.8 is $300, and just on and on and on from there. If you buy the kit, it's about $5,000. So, and I looked at the V2 cradle and all that, but I don't want the wheels sticking out from under the car. I cannot stand that. So we will not be doing that. If anything, we'll be doing the 8.8 with the 373 gear and then their 1,000 horsepower axles. But then I was watching, what's that guy that was on Cletus's channel? Cooper. I was watching his, he was doing a recap on his, and I didn't watch all of them. Apparently I missed a lot of it, but apparently that car was very problematic for him because he had the LSA in it, and then apparently he kept, drag strip. So drag strip was involved, so he kept breaking the car. This is not a drag car. I want this to be a fun daily. Not daily, but I want this to be like a car I built. I built a 85 LTD, and I had a stock LS1, 241 heads, stock LS1 camshaft. It was out of a 2000 Z28 Camaro, 4L60 I built, TCI converter, had a really good converter in it, long tube headers from scratch and dent, 3-inch Y pipe cobbled together out of junk into a single 3-inch, into a Jones 3-inch offset center outlet muffler with a dump. That car got over 20 miles a gallon because I drove it from here to Lakeland, Florida, from Lakeland, Florida to Daytona, and then from Daytona back here. So I put over 1,000 miles on the car in like a week, and that was like, I put the rear end in it like a night or two before I left. It had a 7.5 under it, and I threw an 8.8 together with a 355, I think, and put in there before I did the trip. And I was shocked that it, got that mileage. And I never take it to the track because I knew if I did, then it would become a numbers game, and then the car would be a gutted race car, and it wouldn't be drivable anymore on the street, and you know how that goes. But he ran at the track, and the car ran low 12s. I was shocked. That car, you know, you hop in it, fire it up, just a smooth idle, you know, because it was stock camshaft and everything. Drive it anywhere, overdrive, lock up, and that thing with that TCI converter, we got it off the scratch and dent for like $200 or something, and that converter hit so hard it would just knock the tires off of it. That was a fun little car. So that's what I'm trying to do with this Cadillac, is just keep it simple and keep it basic. And I know what you're saying, just leave the LS6 in it and just drive it, but I have a problem and I can't do that. So anyway, that's enough rambling for now.